My brother was the imperial physician, yet he fell in love with a concubine in the palace. The concubine was barren, so he deceived me into entering the palace to share his bed. After I bore him a prince, he sent me to the afterlife with a cup of poisoned wine. Later, the imperial consort gained status through her son and became empress. When I opened my eyes again, I had been reborn in the emperor's bedchamber. In the tall, empty palace hall, the candle flames flickered faintly. I stared at the golden dragon embroidered on the canopy above the bed, lost in thought. This was the emperor's sleeping chamber, and I lay there now, completely naked, with only a corner of the quilt draped diagonally across my lower abdomen. Beside me, the emperor snored softly, sleeping soundly. I sat up, touching my icy arm. The palace guard's sand had faded. My body was covered in suggestive red marks. Every movement brought a dull ache. I pulled the quilt over myself. My thoughts gradually cleared. I had been reborn on the very day I had mistakenly entered the emperor's palace and had my innocence taken by him. In my previous life, Consort Lee had fallen ill, and my brother had asked me to enter the palace to keep her company. The consort and my brother had been childhood sweethearts. She treated me like a younger sister. Later, she entered the palace to become the emperor's consort for her future. And my brother left our family clinic to become an imperial physician. Hearing she was ill, I was deeply worried. Being able to enter the palace to visit and care for her was naturally a blessing. After staying in the palace for several days, my brother asked me to accompany him to the Imperial Medical Institute to fetch some medicine. I carried the medicine, following behind him. After rounding a corner, he vanished from sight. In the unfamiliar, strictly regulated palace, I dared not move. I could only stand still, waiting for him to return and find me. Hearing footsteps behind me, I thought it was my brother. Turning with joy, I saw only an unfamiliar face. His cheeks flushed unnaturally, his eyes gleaming with animalistic desire. The herbs in my hands spilled to the floor. He grabbed me, hoisted me up, and carried me into the sleeping chamber. I couldn't break free. My limbs felt too weak to lift. When I finally regained consciousness, I found myself in this very state. I took my own pulse and confirmed it. My dear brother had indeed laced the tea he handed me in the Imperial Medical Bureau. And the emperor beside me. Likely, his food and drink had been tampered with as well. In my previous life, upon waking, I lashed out without a second thought, shouting curses at the audacious villain and even scratching the face of the man beside me. Only then did I learn the truth. The man who had taken my virtue was the emperor himself. Enraged, he roared for guards to punish me, but it was the empress and my brother who entered instead. I was taken back to the empress palace. She pleaded for mercy on my behalf before the emperor. She declared that since he had taken me, he must grant me a proper status. I wanted no official status, only to leave the palace. But my brother feared I might do something reckless outside, or that no one would care for me, and insisted I stay. A month later, I was diagnosed with pregnancy. Upon learning this, the emperor sent gifts and instructed the Empress Dowager to look after me. He made no mention of anything else. The Empress Dowager said he harbored resentment toward me because I had scratched his face. Once I bore his child, I would naturally receive a title, perhaps even be directly elevated to noble consort. But I did not desire the title of noble consort, nor did I want this child. Day after day, the Empress Dowager held my hand and pleaded with me earnestly. The emperor has few heirs, now 24. He has only one young princess. If I bear him a prince, I would be the royal family's foremost benefactor. Even if the emperor dislikes me, the Empress Dowager would advocate for me. Moreover, I have my brother and her. No matter what, I would have a place in the harem. Yet I still refused. Later, my brother told me that harming the dragon's offspring is a grave crime. If I deliberately terminated the pregnancy, not only would I lose my life, but my entire family would be executed. The empress promised me that if I bore the child, She would raise it well for me. She and my brother swore they would send me away from the palace afterward. How foolish of me to trust them. I was confined to a side chamber of lady.He's orchid fragrance hall, forbidden to leave even half a step, to ensure a safe pregnancy. My brother checked my pulse daily, and the Empress consort instructed me on nourishing tonics every day. The days stretched long and tedious, leaving me only books for company. On the day of delivery, my brother waited outside the door. After a day and night of labor, I finally heard the baby's cry. Exhausted, I lay on the bed as the midwife carried the child out. lady.He had already rushed over upon hearing the cry. All our efforts were not in vain. It truly is a prince, plump and fair, clearly a delightful child. I listened to the consort's delighted voice. I thought she would treat this child well, and I could leave the palace with peace of mind. Just as I was about to close my eyes to rest, I heard my brother's icy voice. My dong has passed away during childbirth, but she did her utmost to preserve the imperial heir. Please compose yourself. Your Highness. My heart plummeted into an icy abyss. I struggled to rise but was pinned down. Before I could question my brother or the Empress, the midwife forced poison down my throat. The agonizing cramps in my womb and lower body sent chills through my body. I had trusted the Empress wrongly. She raised my child, rose step by step, and became Empress. I trusted my brother wrongly. His heart always belonged to his childhood sweetheart, the Empress. For her sake, he schemed to frame his own sister. Recalling the events of my past life, my heart ached in waves. At this very moment, Consort Lee and my dear brother must already be waiting outside the palace hall. Glancing sideways at the emperor sleeping soundly beside me, I rolled over and burrowed into his embrace. Since you're so easily manipulated, let me play my own game. As my icy body pressed against him, he shuddered from the chill. Before opening his eyes, he clamped his hand around my throat. Who goes there? Tears welled in my eyes as I weakly clutched his arms, whimpering softly. It hurts. He released his grip, his gaze following the slipping blanket. One glance was enough for him to understand. Who are you? How did you get here? My eyes remained brimming with tears. I'm the younger sister of imperial physician He. I came to the palace to tend to Consort Lee's illness. My brother asked me to fetch some medicinal herbs back to the palace. I got lost on the way here. Encountered you. And then you. My face flushed crimson as I lowered my head, grabbing the quilt to cover my chest. He understood the rest without my saying it. Doubt still lingered in his eyes. At today's palace banquet, he had indeed indulged in several cups too many. The tonic had taken, when mixed with wine, stirred his desires. My dear brother had deliberately given me tea laced with a potion. Then he had me wait outside the emperor's bedchamber. Meeting him was like a lamb walking into the wolf's den. He was meant to be devoured. Yet to him, it all seemed like I was deliberately seducing him. I lifted my head, eyes red, and demanded, "Who are you? Why are you bullying me like this? Wait until I tell my brother. Hell, have you killed?" A flicker of amusement danced in his eyes as he scoffed. Your brother, that timid court physician, he doesn't have the guts. He lifted my chin, fixing his gaze on mine. Besides, what we share is called imperial favor, not bullying. I feigned shock, my mouth agape in speechlessness. Then I burrowed deep beneath the covers. I've never seen you before. Have someone bring me clothes. I'll leave once I'm dressed. Instead, he pulled back the covers and drew me into his embrace. You think you can sleep with me and then leave? You have some nerve. He held me close, inhaling the fragrance in my hair. What is this scent? I've never smelled it before. Just now, I slept so well. Drawn by this very fragrance, I lowered my head in embarrassment, desperately avoiding his unabashed gaze. It's merely the scent of common herbs. I handle them year-round. It clings to my skin. His hands began to wander restlessly. This fragrance is lovely. far more pleasant than the cloying scent of perfumes. He pressed himself against me once more. This time, he was gentler, far more patient than before. The lust stirred by the potion had long since faded from his body. This time, it was simply a man's affection for a woman. I didn't know how to respond to this affection, so I could only follow my heart and plead pitifully. Perhaps my heart had been clouded by desire, but as I gripped the sinewy tendons on his arm, gazing at his sharp-browed, starry-eyed face, suddenly finding him not so repulsive. After all, taking my body wasn't his true intent, and within this absurdity, I too found pleasure. Thinking this, I shook his arm, calling out more joyfully. His mood grew ever better, tossing and turning me until I had no strength left. Afterward, he held me close, tucking the stray strands of hair behind my ears. I like you. What is your name? He, me.Reborn. The lingering tremors in my body hadn't yet subsided. Leaning weakly against his chest, my voice sounded more seductive than I intended. Me.Reborn. Isn't that just a wild grass? Such a rustic name. How about I give you a new one? He chuckled as he spoke, his fingers tracing my hair before teasing my earlobe. Me.Reborn nourishes the lungs and benefits the stomach and generates fluids, clears the heart and dispels vexation. It's an excellent medicinal herb. Not rustic at all. I swatted his hand away and turned my head away in a huff. A large hand cupped my face, forcing me to meet his gaze. Me.Reborn, do you realize I am the Emperor? No one has ever dared to strike my hand like this. Catching the mischievous glint in his eyes, I stubbornly changed my tone. Fine. If you insist on changing my name, so be it. You are the Emperor after all. Even if you were to kill or flay me, I'd still have to thank you. He laughed heartily, pulling me back into his embrace. Truly, only petty men and women are hard to please. I merely spoke offhand, yet it drew such a torrent of complaints from you. He pinched the soft flesh at my waist, eliciting a soft whimper from me. I could never bear to kill you. I want you by my side to keep me company. Are you willing? Hearing his words spoken with such depth of feeling, I sighed inwardly. When you carried me into the palace, you didn't ask my consent, yet now you deign to inquire. If I say no, would you truly let me go? Besides, even if you could, Consort and my brother standing outside the palace gates would never allow me to leave. I traced circles on his chest with my finger. Am already yours. Why ask? Are you planning to deny everything once you've had your way? He chuckled cheerfully, grabbing my wandering hand. You truly are a wildflower. No one has ever dared speak to the Emperor like this before. I feigned displeasure and pulled my hand back. This is just how I am. If you don't like it, then I don't want to stay with you either. Hurry up and have someone let me leave the palace. He grabbed my hand and pressed it tightly against his chest. When did I ever say I didn't like it? I like it very much. With that, he shouted for someone to come, paying no mind to the fact that both of us were disheveled and half-dressed. Hearing the door open, I wrapped myself in the quilt and hid behind him, but he merely laughed, utterly unconcerned. Sure enough, it was Consort and my brother who entered, though beside them stood a eunuch holding a whisk. Your Majesty, please forgive this humble servant's sister. It is her first time in the palace, and she is unfamiliar with the protocols. She has offended your Majesty. I beg your Majesty not to hold it against her. Whatever blame she bears, I will shoulder it entirely. The moment my brother entered, he knelt down with a thud without even looking up. Performing a deep bow, Consort followed suit. Your Majesty, sister, he grew up alongside me. She has always been innocent and kind-hearted. She would never intentionally trespass into your chambers, much less deliberately seduce the sovereign. I implore your Majesty, for my sake, to spare her punishment. Her words and actions mirrored those of my previous life exactly. In my previous life, when they entered, I had scratched the emperor's face and was now glaring at him like two fighting cocks. Now, I hung my head like a guilty quail, refusing to look at the two figures at the doorway. Next. As long as the emperor remained silent, Consort Li would plead to take me back to the palace. Returning there would be tantamount to house arrest. I edged closer to the emperor and urged, "Tell them quickly I didn't offend you, nor did I seduce you." He glanced back at me, his eyes crinkling with amusement. "In this state, and you claim not to have tempted the emperor." Following his gaze, I looked down to see a glimpse of snow-white skin exposed at my chest. I hastily pulled the quilt tighter around myself. Retreating further behind him, my hand instinctively pinched his lower back. "With everyone here, don't you dare talk nonsense. Why so quiet? You were shouting quite loudly just now." He winced at the pinch, then grabbed my hand and rubbed the back of it, perhaps sensing the lingering, suggestive atmosphere in the hall. My brother and the Empress both looked up. "Avoid improper sights." The eunuch standing beside them drew out the words in a drawn-out tone. He shot a withering glance at my brother, who was prostrate on the floor, then flicked his whisk and strode forward. "Your Majesty, forgive this servant. I never knew you forbade concubines from attending you in the Purple Palace. It was my negligence. I deserve death 1,000 times over." I peered out from behind the emperor to observe this chief eunuch, though he bowed his head humbly, pleading forgiveness. His face betrayed not a trace of the fear one would expect from a wrongdoer. Humph. All talk and no action. But he said the emperor never allowed concubines to sleep here. Does that make me the first woman to lie on this bed? No wonder the emperor tried to choke me the moment he woke. He must be used to sleeping alone. Never mind. From now on, the imperial consort Chin is specially permitted to sleep here. Hearing this, the eunuch visibly froze before immediately kneeling. "This servant greets Her Imperial Highness the Consort Chin. May Her Imperial Highness enjoy boundless health and happiness." I scratched the emperor's back and whispered, "Who is Consort Chin?" before he could answer. My brother banged his head on the floor again. "Your humble sister is young and ignorant, with a stubborn and unruly nature. She is unworthy of the emperor's profound affection." This humble subject trembles with fear and begs the emperor to reconsider. He lifted his head and looked at me. "My dong, hurry and ask the emperor to revoke his decree." I shot him a glare. Did he really think I didn't understand? The emperor intended to make me a consort. Seeing me gain the title after just one night with him, he probably felt it wasn't worth it for his beloved, who had spent 3 years climbing the ranks to become a concubine. Too bad. I wouldn't let him have his way. This consort title was mine to claim. After all that effort, my body still ached. If the emperor gave it to me, I would take it. He'll stand above his beloved. Silence fell over the chamber. I sensed the emperor's displeasure. Before he could speak, the eunuch interjected. "How dare you, Qi Rindong? How could you presume to address Her Imperial Highness Consort Chin by her given name?" My brother continued kowtowing, pleading for the emperor to reconsider with the demeanor of a loyal minister making a final appeal. "Your Majesty, this humble servant understands your fondness for Sister Maidong. Yet, to grant her such favor so soon after her entry into the palace may invite gossip within the court." Consort Li opened her crimson lips, her words soft and measured, sounding utterly reasonable. "Moreover, she has only been in the palace for a few days and is unfamiliar with its customs. Would it not be better for this humble servant to take her back to be properly instructed, then proceed with the investiture? What do you think?" She was exceptionally beautiful, truly deserving of the characterly beauty in her name. At this moment, she was feigning illness, her small face appearing 3 shades paler than before, making her look even more pitifully charming. I dreaded the emperor heeding her words, for her reasoning held undeniable merit. My hands clenched the quilt in anxiety, pondering how I might escape if the emperor agreed to let Consort Li take me back. In my previous life, after they brought me away, I never stepped outside her palace again, nor did I ever see the emperor's face. Whenever the emperor visited, I was confined to a side chamber. Back then, we despised each other's presence better never to meet. So each time he came, I remained quietly in my room, terrified that if he saw me, he'd punish me for scratching his face. This time, if she dared lock me up again, I'd smash vases and plates, causing an absolute uproar. Lost in my thoughts, I failed to notice the emperor's face had grown as cold as ice. He Rindong. How dare you question my decision? Out of respect for your status as the brother of Consort Chen, I shall spare you this time. I perked up instantly, sitting up straight behind the emperor. I thought, don't spare him. Punish him for high treason. A few lashes would be perfect to vent my anger. Consort Li's face paled even more than before. Seeing the emperor rebuke her brother clearly pained her. Just as I gloated inwardly, the emperor spoke again. Yet I still do not understand in this palace who I favor and whom I bestow my affection upon. Should I need to heed others' opinions? At these words, my brother bowed his head even lower, and Consort Li knelt with a thud. Consort Li, I appreciate your concern for me, but as a mere consort, you have no standing to instruct the noble consorts. He squeezed my hand and continued, moreover, you've been unwell these past days. What if you pass on your illness to Lady Maidong? What then? Hearing this, I realized I wouldn't have to return to that cramped, gloomy side hall. My heart swelled with joy, and I squeezed the emperor's hand in return. He raised his hand, signaling Gong Gong to rise. Lu Fujuan, arrange for attendants to assist Consort Chen with her ablutions and change of clothes. Additionally, instruct the Ministry of Rites to expedite preparations for the investiture ceremony. Eunuch Lu Fujuan rose and asked the emperor which palace to assign me to. The only vacant main palace now is the Palace of Eternal Peace. However, it suffered some leaks recently and is currently under repair. If Her Imperial Highness the Consort Chen is to reside in the Palace of Eternal Peace, this servant believes it would be an opportune moment for a thorough renovation. But until then, Her Imperial Highness will have to endure temporary accommodation elsewhere. Upon hearing this, Consort Li raised her head again. This humble servant is willing to cede the main hall of Longqing Palace to my sister, Consort Chen. I shall relocate to the side hall, so we sisters may keep each other company. Who says we're sisters? She's still trying to drag me to Longqing Palace. I tugged at the emperor's hand and muttered, Longqing Palace is too far away. Yes. Longqing Hall is too far. Then let's find somewhere closer. The emperor ignored Consort Li. After patting my hand, he turned directly to Eunuch Lu Fujuan. Did you hear that? Eunuch Lu bowed deeply to me. The side hall of Xichen Hall is currently vacant. It can be cleaned up and made ready for occupancy. The side hall of the Purple Chamber. That's practically right beside the emperor's bedchamber. A chill suddenly ran down my neck. The emperor smiled at me and nodded with satisfaction. Lu Fujuan has indeed thought of everything. But I wonder what my beloved consort thinks. That title, beloved consort, left me dizzy. I'd only slept for a night. How had I become his beloved consort? But I reasoned that with the emperor's backing, neither brother nor Consort Li could touch me. With that thought, I clung to his arm, acting perfectly docile. I'll do whatever you say. The Purple Forbidden Hall was the emperor's residence. Neither the main hall nor the side chambers held a single item belonging to a woman. Lu Fujuan led a group of palace maids and eunuchs in and out. The emperor dressed and left. I had just finished my ablutions when Consort Li and my brother requested an audience outside the hall. Lu Fuzu and accompanied me to meet them. The moment we entered, my brother strode swiftly before me. My dong, what's going on? How did the emperor suddenly favor you so? Eunuch Lu stepped in front of me. How dare you? He Rindong, you haven't knelt before Consort Chen. My brother and Consort Li reluctantly performed the ritual bow. Eunuch Lu, might you grant us a moment alone? My brother inquired, lifting his head. I met Eunuch Liu's questioning gaze and nodded. Perfect timing. I had matters to discuss with you both. Brother. Don't you know why the emperor suddenly favors me? I sat upon the couch, observing my brother kneeling before me. My dong. Minister, he is still your brother. Let him rise first. He knelt in the main hall for quite some time earlier, Consort Li remarked, standing beside my brother. It seemed neither of them had yet adjusted to the difference in our current statuses. I shot her a withering glance. Consort Li, are you instructing me? Or are you concerned for my brother? Her face visibly flushed crimson. My dong. The Empress Dowager still resides in the palace. For the emperor to appoint you as a consort, you must first gain her approval. This title of imperial consort may not be yours to claim. Regardless. Minister, he is still your brother. How can you abandon family ties so swiftly after climbing onto the imperial bed? I smiled. What is it? Consort Li, are you unaware that the emperor's word is law? Or do you believe I am unworthy of his majesty's favor? Unworthy of this title? Whether the formal investiture proceeds smoothly or not, I am now the consort Qin, personally appointed by the emperor's golden words. I'll keep you in check for now. As for family ties, when you and my brother conspired against me, did you ever urge him to consider our bond? While soaking in the bath, I'd already sorted everything out. Our family has practiced medicine for generations. An ancestral skill allowed us to determine a woman's optimal conception period through pulse diagnosis. Since childhood, I followed my parents' teachings, practicing the 5 animals play and 8 brocades to strengthen my body, while also supplementing daily with medicinal cuisine, keeping me robust and healthy. My appearance itself is not particularly striking. I'm not especially attractive to men, nor do I yearn for the power and splendor within the palace walls. Truthfully, I was simply the most suitable candidate my brother and consort Li could think of for bearing an heir. These past days, while my brother attended to consort Li's medicinal soups, he also took my pulse daily. I treated it as an old family game, never suspecting he was observing when I would be most receptive to conception. The Imperial Medical Bureau prepared medicinal soups and tonics for the emperor daily. And naturally, he seized the opportunity to tamper with them. The emperor indulging in wine and favoring a passing woman was hardly news in the harem. What they hadn't anticipated was that the emperor, setting aside consort Li's beauty of such grace and charm, chose instead to favor me. Truthfully, I hadn't expected it either. Perhaps it was because my constitution was strong enough to endure his demands. But none of that mattered. Whatever the reason, he favored me now. I had to seize this moment to make my brother and consort Li suffer. Sure enough, the moment I spoke these words, both consort Li and my brother turned pale. My dong, don't slander me with empty words. I left the Imperial Medical Institute with you. I merely walked a few steps ahead, and when I turned back, you were gone. As for the emperor favoring you, that's his own lack of self-control. How can you blame me? My brother straightened up and met my gaze. Truthfully, your imperial favor is a blessing for our family. Yet emperors have always been ruthless, and the imperial harem is a sea of hidden currents. Your sudden elevation to consort after gaining favor will surely stir envy among the others. As your brother, and since consort Li has been close to you since childhood, we ought to watch over each other in this deep palace. He knelt before me. Sister, I forgot you were unfamiliar with the palace paths and walked a bit faster. I truly meant no harm. Besides, might this not be a blessing in disguise? I looked at him, recalling those cold words. My dong had a difficult labor, but we did our utmost to preserve the imperial heir. With my robust health and mastery of medicine, if they hadn't confined me to my chambers and forced me to take tonics daily, how could I have given birth to a plump baby only to face complications? And even if it had been difficult, I still gave birth. It was consort Li who couldn't conceive. So she and my brother concocted this despicable scheme to frame me. I shifted my expression and smiled at my brother. Yes, brother is right. My dong has no standing in the palace. In the future, I'll need brother and consort Li's guidance. Shortly after my brother and consort Li departed, Eunuch Lu arrived with a message. He said the side chamber hadn't been prepared yet today, and the emperor had specially permitted me to stay in the main hall tonight. Looking at the side chamber, fully equipped with every kind of amenity, I asked Eunuch Lu what hadn't been prepared. Your Highness, look at that bed. Isn't there one quilt missing? I glanced at the 4 or 5 quilts already on the bed and gave a wry smile. My emperor, even if I were in perfect health, I couldn't endure such relentless demands day and night. After finishing my ablutions, Eunuch Lu led me to the main hall. The emperor sat by the bed in his nightclothes. Seeing me enter, he hastily hid whatever he was holding beneath the mattress. You're here. Come closer. How is your health? Are you feeling unwell? I shook my head. Then, after a moment, nodded. He burst out laughing. Why the mixed signals? Shaking your head then nodding. Are you feeling well or not? Not wanting to deceive the emperor, I decided to be honest. Someone massaged my arms and legs, and the imperial physician examined me. I feel fine. Just a bit tired. He pulled me to sit on the bed. If you're tired, let's sleep well. I promise not to disturb you tonight. I looked at him, half believing, half doubting. Your body truly needs proper recuperation. Fainting during our first time. It was my fault for being too hasty. Hearing this, my face flushed crimson. He actually reflected on his own impatience. That night, the emperor truly behaved himself, merely holding me without any further advances. When I awoke, I found myself nestled in his embrace, gazing at his broad, muscular chest mere inches away. I pushed him gently. He didn't budge an inch. I only promised not to disturb you last night. This is the next day. I felt like crying, utterly defeated by his teasing. Exhausted, I fell asleep. When I awoke again, daylight streamed in, and the emperor was already gone. I felt beneath the bedding nothing was there. What on earth was the emperor hiding that he treasured so dearly? After rising, Lu Fuchuan followed me everywhere, annoyed. I asked why the imperial steward was trailing me instead of the emperor. He claimed the emperor's decree left him no choice. After breakfast, 2 groups of imperial physicians arrived to take my pulse meticulously. Ladies from the Imperial Wardrobe Bureau came to measure me for garments. The head steward of the imperial kitchen personally inquired about my favorite dishes. Eunuchs from the imperial garden brought young attendants carrying exotic flowers and plants for me to choose. Lu Fuchuan said all this was by the emperor's command. Something was off. Very, very off. How could this emperor be so different from the one in my past life? I asked Lu Fuchuan, do I resemble anyone? Like, perhaps, someone from the emperor's past? He replied, not at all, Your Highness. You don't even resemble physician He. I pressed him further. Does the emperor have some secret, unspeakable preference? Tell me, and I swear I won't repeat it. He cut me off immediately. The emperor is a gentleman of the highest integrity. Your Highness, you mustn't speak such nonsense. I pressed him further. Then does the emperor secretly adore someone he can't be with right now? That's why he uses me as a substitute. He finally sighed, unable to hold back. Your Majesty, please don't put your servant in such a difficult position. Can't you see that the emperor adores you? I shook my head. I haven't noticed. He sighed again, then told me many things about the emperor. The emperor is the eldest son of the empress, destined for the throne since childhood. The late emperor and Empress Dowager demanded the utmost rigor from him. From a young age, he became a dignified and upright gentleman, whether in the front court or the inner palace. He never overstepped his bounds. The emperor's heart is heavy, born within these palace walls. Even when hunting outside, he was taught never to gallop, never to go alone. From the cradle, he was alone. All these years, he never grew accustomed to having anyone beside him when he slept. Your Majesty, if I may speak with the utmost disrespect, the emperor may favor someone not because he truly likes them, but if he asks you to sleep beside him, that is genuine affection. In Lu Fuquan's eyes, I was a thick-headed block of wood. Yet I truly couldn't fathom why the same person could display such stark differences. As I sat at the table drinking ginseng and astragalus chicken soup, I suddenly recalled, yesterday, while the maidservant dressed me, the emperor had asked Lu Fuquan, "Does my face look any different?" Lu Fuquan replied, "No." He then urged, "Look again more closely." Lu Fuquan paused briefly before answering, "Your Majesty is radiant with joy today." Appearing even more ethereally handsome and refined, it seemed he cared deeply about his appearance, so scratching his face in my previous life had indeed angered him. Henceforth, I should lavish praise on his beauty, comparing him to Pan's grace and Sonia's charm, striving to secure my position under this mighty tree. Rumors spread throughout the palace that I practiced seductive arts, with merely average looks. I had climbed onto the imperial bed and gained his favor. Even the usually stern Empress Dowager turned a blind eye to the emperor's such extraordinary behavior. One day, Consort Li came to see me, her face beaming with joy. "These people in the palace are so skilled at spreading rumors. They actually say my sister practices witchcraft." How utterly ridiculous. Seeing her cover her mouth with a handkerchief to stifle her laughter, I knew her next words would not be kind. "Word has come from the Empress Dowager's quarters. They say the emperor favors you because of some strange dream he had. In it, a little boy called him Father Emperor and said he would find a stranger to bring him here. Isn't it a coincidence that you—" This stranger appeared at that very moment. She casually snapped off a flower branch and sniffed it. Truth be told, any of us in this palace can truly hope for the emperor's genuine affection. We're merely tools for perpetuating the imperial lineage. You're no different, sister." With that, she flung the flower branch to the ground and stomped on it twice. "Come to think of it, we're all confined within these palace walls. Who among us is truly more noble than the other? Take Consort Yang from the previous dynasty. She rose 3 ranks in a single month. From a lowly noble consort to consort, becoming the envy of all. Yet in the end, she still met her fate as a consort banished to the cold palace. I understood her meaning. The emperor favors me only because he values my ability to bear children. Not because he truly loves me. But wasn't that also the case when she and my brother schemed against me? Sister Li Pin is right. The rarest thing in this world is true heart. Yet once we enter these palace walls, where can we seek such sincerity?" I stroked the buds about to bloom on the flower branch. "I fear I may never taste the flavor of true heart in this lifetime. Priceless treasures are easy to obtain, but a loving man is hard to find. Sister, I truly envy you." Hearing my words, her hand paused mid-reach to pluck the blossom. "Sister, do not sacrifice those who cherish you for fleeting possessions. She and my brother were childhood sweethearts. Once deeply in love, he entered the Imperial Medical Academy solely to watch over her, to vie for favor. She emulated Zhao Fian of the previous dynasty, starving herself until her body weakened. She took the wrong medicine, damaging her health. Seeing her strive so earnestly for favor, he never grew jealous or resentful, but instead did everything he could to help her. He even sacrificed me, his own sister, for her sake. Is that not true devotion? What does it matter if true love remains unattainable? Favor is just as valuable." She touched her own face. "With such beauty, why shouldn't I be able to win favor? As for your brother, he's deluded himself into fantasizing about becoming a palace consort. Ah, I truly pity my foolish brother." That night, after I fell asleep, the emperor slipped into my chambers. These past days, if he had many memorials to review, had summoned me to the main hall free to sit reading or retire early. If the memos were few, had seek me out in my chambers after finishing his work. Tonight he didn't summon me, and I didn't want him to come, so I extinguished the lamp early, pretending to be long asleep. When he entered, he only allowed eunuch Lu to stand at the doorway, holding a lamp at a distance. The chamber was dim. Watching him approach slowly, I shot upright. "My beloved consort, You weren't asleep. Resting so early tonight, are you feeling unwell? He wasn't startled at all. Beloved consort. Beloved consort, do you call everyone beloved consort? Or do you find my name too rustic? I didn't know where this anger came from, but I simply felt displeased. Eunuch Lu at the door heard us and quickly shut the door, running off with the lantern. What's wrong? Who upset you? The emperor didn't seem annoyed. He took my hand and rubbed it in his palm. Never mind. Never mind. Let's sleep. Since he wasn't angry, I felt awkward continuing my tantrum. I burrowed back under the covers, and he followed, pulling the quilt over us. I've never called anyone else my beloved consort. I only thought it sounded intimate when addressing you. If you dislike it, I'll stop. My dong. Though I once thought your name rather old-fashioned, after calling it so often in my heart, it feels warm and familiar. Come to think of it, my own childhood nickname is rather old-fashioned too. I turned to face him and asked what his childhood name was. He hesitated at first, but when I tickled his soft spot, he finally told me. Zongbao. When I was born, I was frail. My parents feared I might not survive, so they named me this, hoping our ancestors would protect me. Hearing him refer to himself as I decided to forgive him. Then when we're alone, you can call me my dong, and I'll call you Zongbao. How does that sound? Fine. Whatever you like is fine with me. He pulled me into his embrace, resting his chin atop my head. I listened to the gentle humming sound coming from his chest. My dong, how have you been feeling these past days? Any discomfort? I shook my head. That's good. My dong. I made a bold promise to mother that I'd soon make her an imperial grandmother, but I'm truly afraid something might happen to you. Oh, so that explains why Consort Li came to me earlier today with those words. It all makes sense now. My dong. These past days I've ordered searches nationwide for skilled physicians and midwives. Fear not, I'll do everything in my power to protect you. I looked up at him. You want me to bear your child? Yes. Only then will the court officials and Mother Empress have no grounds for objection. And when the time comes, even for the child's sake, you'll willingly stay by my side. His words felt odd. But how can you be certain I'll conceive? So many consorts and ladies in this palace remain childless. Sometimes a couple's inability to conceive isn't solely the woman's fault. The implication was clear. Perhaps it was the emperor himself who was lacking. He caught the subtext in my words, rolled over, and pinned me beneath him. No effort, no reward. But I've been working so hard lately, heaven can't possibly leave me empty-handed. My mistake. I shouldn't have resorted to reverse psychology. After the consort investiture ceremony, I went to pay my respects to the Empress Dowager. Before leaving, the emperor assured me had spoken well of me to her, so I needn't be nervous. The Empress Dowager didn't make things difficult for me. When I kowtowed before her, her attendants even thoughtfully placed a soft cushion beneath me. She motioned for me to stand before her and studied me closely. Indeed, you are plain, she remarked. Had I known His Majesty disliked beauty, I wouldn't have bothered having others seek out lovely women for him. But perhaps plainness is for the best. It means His Majesty won't be distracted by women and neglect his duties, since His Majesty favors you and wishes your company. You should serve him well. But this Empress Dowager hopes His Majesty keeps his word and grants me a royal grandson soon. Should I discover he uses you merely as a shield, I shall show no mercy neither to him nor to you. The Empress Dowager was the Empress Dowager. Her words always cut deep. Heedless of others' pain, recalling the Emperor's words to me, I carefully chose my response. Your Majesty, my family has practiced medicine for generations. Since childhood, I've trained in the 8 brocades and 5 animals play. My parents also regularly supplemented my diet with medicinal tonics. Thus, my constitution is robust. Provided the emperor's health is sound, a child will surely come. Hearing my words, the matron attending the Empress Dowager turned to Lu Fujuan, who followed behind me. Has no one taught consort Chen proper etiquette? How can she not even use respectful speech? Eunuch Lu immediately knelt to apologize. His Majesty said he cherishes consort Chen's natural grace and refuses to force any change. The Empress Dowager waved her hand dismissively. Enough. Enough. If His Majesty is pleased, let him be. I am old and no longer concerned with the affairs of the young. After leaving the Empress Dowager's palace, my words spread throughout the harem. Many consorts laughed at my lack of etiquette, while others came to congratulate me and ask about health preservation. I set up my medical table in the hall and took the pulse of each sister who sat down. Over recent days, the maids and eunuchs in my palace had already been examined by me several times. They had no major ailments. But the pampered consorts, living in constant luxury, had numerous issues. Sister, you must eat and drink properly. Man is iron. Food is steel. Eating too little may make you thin, but your body can't endure it. Sister, your beauty is already captivating. There's no need to pursue excessive whiteness. While some perfumed powders can lighten the skin, they contain lead powder, which isn't good for a woman. Sister, you really ought to move more. Delicate fragility may be endearing, but we were born with legs meant for walking. Don't fear thicker thighs, no one will notice beneath your gowns. My palace remained bustling daily, yet consort Li seldom visited. Word came she had fallen ill again. My brother tended to her by her bedside. A month later, I diagnosed a pregnancy pulse. The emperor, however, did not seem particularly pleased. The Yangon palace had long been renovated, yet he never once mentioned moving me there. As my belly grew larger, he spent more and more time by my side. One day, brother came to pay his respects, bringing a bottle of pills. He claimed to have concocted them himself, beneficial for stabilizing pregnancy, alleviating morning sickness and fatigue. I opened it and took a brief sniff, instantly sensing something amiss. Brother, do you realize that harming the imperial heir is a grave crime? Not only would you lose your life, but your entire family would be implicated. Don't you think that just because you're my brother, I won't act in the greater good and cut ties with my own kin? After becoming pregnant, my sense of smell grew far more acute than before. Once, after practicing swordsmanship, the emperor rushed to see me without bathing first, and I vomited on the spot. Now he dares not even use incense, and now he sends me this vial of pills reeking of cinnabar. I kept him and consort Li alive only to show them how I would ascend to power, how I would gain status through my child, not to give them further opportunities to harm me. Since they refused to repent, let them die. The Imperial Astronomical Bureau prayed for the health of my unborn child and calculated that consort Li's fate clashed with the young prince's. The emperor ordered her confined to the Orchid Fragrance Hall, forbidden to leave unless he personally permitted it. My brother came to plead for consort Li. Though I was once close to consort Li, she poses a threat to the prince. This is what the Imperial Astronomical Bureau has determined. What can I do? You know how desperately the Empress Dowager and the Emperor long for this child. He banged his head on the floor several times. You know my entire life has been lived for Lin Yang. Now that you are the esteemed consort Chen, carrying the dragon's heir, why torment even a lowly, unloved palace lady like her? Do you not wish to accumulate blessings for yourself, nor for the child growing within you? How laughable! She, a noble consort, has schemed against me, a commoner, all along. How dare she now, with the world turned upside down, demand magnanimity from me? I stared at my brother kneeling before me. Are you cursing my child? Don't you fear losing your life and never seeing your beloved again? His face paled, yet he persisted in his stubbornness. Does your highness truly intend to commit patricide during your pregnancy? I smiled faintly. Your time to die hasn't come yet. Of course not. From childhood, mother taught us that as siblings born of the same mother, we should cherish and support one another. Only you've long forgotten that, and I needn't remember it either. Still, for the sake of your childhood friendship, I shall plead with His Majesty for Mercito permit you to attend to her illness in the Orchid Fragrance Hall. Eunuch Lu had already made arrangements. Word would be relayed from the hall. Consort Li had never enjoyed great favor in the palace, and now confined within her quarters. Her treatment had deteriorated significantly. Only in this state of utter despair did she realize the preciousness of her brother's true affection. The long night stretched on, and my brother chose to stay. Learning of their past, the emperor held my hand and comforted me. I was unaware Consort Li and your brother knew each other from before. She was brought into the palace by my late mother's decree. Since their bond runs deep, once you deliver safely, I shall have a false identity fabricated for Consort Li and send them both out of the palace. Supporting my lower back, I nodded. As my pregnancy progressed, I grew restless from the heat at night and refused to share the emperor's bed. I slept in a side hall, and each night he waited until I was asleep before returning to the main hall himself. One day, while he was discussing state affairs in the front hall, I found the sun too harsh outside and went to stroll through his chambers. Beneath his pillow, a corner of fabric peeked out. It resembled the item had hastily hidden under the bedding that day. I walked over, pulled it out, and blushed instantly. It was the nightgown I wore the first time we made love in this very chamber. Embroidered upon it was a plantain flower, stitched by my own hand. In my previous life, consumed by the outrage of my defiled innocence, I never noticed a garment missing. This time, when Eunuch Lu sent new clothes, I paid no heed to where my old ones had gone. I never imagined the emperor harbored such a peculiar fondness, a secret collection of women's garments. That night, I had already retired to bed when I heard the emperor's angry shouts from the main hall. He was usually kind to his servants, so I wondered why he was so furious today. When I made my way to his chamber, supporting my belly, the entire hall was filled with people kneeling. Seeing me approach, he hurried over to help me up. Did my voice wake you? The baby kicked me awake. What's going on? I glanced at the kneeling figures, all the palace attendants who served there regularly, including Lu Fuchuan. Nothing serious. Let me escort you back to rest. I refused to leave. Lu Fuchuan spoke up honestly. Your Majesty, a precious item from his bedchamber is missing. Consort, you were the only one who entered today. You must help us find it. That was my little nightgown. I had seen it and taken it back. Your Majesty, won't you explain to me why you hid my garment? I asked him as he massaged my legs after escorting me back. This was the first time I'd spoken to him like this, making his already flustered face flush even redder. My dong. I didn't mean to. It turned out he'd been suffering from insomnia, and the herbal scent on my body had a calming effect on him. My nightgown had fallen onto his bed, so he kept it. Recently, I sent him back to the main hall, and he began tossing and turning again at night, so he took out the nightgown. Today, he couldn't find it and flew into a rage. If you need something to calm your mind and aid sleep, I can sew you a herbal sachet. I always saw him sleeping soundly beside me. I never imagined he had trouble sleeping. I am a physician myself. If you have any ailments or discomforts, tell me directly. Why resort to hiding my nightgown? He nodded hastily. Yes, the physician is right. It's just that I've been suffering from love sickness lately. Is there any remedy? I kicked him. There is no remedy. Now go back to sleep. Eunuch Lu follows me daily and has been reminding me lately. Your Highness, you've been treating His Majesty with a bit too much arrogance lately. While he seems to relish it, should word reach the Empress Dowager's ears, it won't be pleasant. This loyal servant speaks frankly only for your own good. Reflecting on my actions and his words, I realized he had a point. As my body grew heavier and many tasks became impossible, I directed palace maids and eunuchs to gather and dry herbs. I had the imperial wardrobe bureau sew 2 calming sachets. One was for the emperor, the other for the Empress Dowager. Both found them effective. I wrote down the formula and handed it to my parents when they visited the palace. Father, mother, sell these for profit. Your daughter crafted them personally. Both the Emperor and Empress Dowager praised them. They asked what name to give the sachets. I pondered. Call them natural sleep aid sachets. Before they left, I added, you must share half the profits with me. Your daughter needs personal funds while in the palace. The Emperor laughed at my greed. I couldn't be bothered to care. My brother now keeps consortly company, inevitably draining our family funds to support her. The two of them will die sooner or later. When he's spent every last coin, what will become of our parents? If my brother dies in the palace, they'd surely refuse any imperial gifts. I wouldn't want that money either. Let it remain for their old age. The day of delivery drew ever nearer. The Emperor grew increasingly anxious. On the day of childbirth, both he and the Empress Dowager waited outside the hall. I thought that with my daily walks and measured nourishment, the labor might be easier this time. Yet the pain still lasted most of the day. After the child was born, the midwife first held him before me, a tiny, wrinkled bundle. Yet his features already bore his father's spirit. May he grow to be as gallant and handsome as his father. After I was dressed, the Emperor rushed in first. He took my hand. His eyes slightly reddened. My dong, are you all right? Is there any discomfort? I shook my head. My dong. Now that we have our child, we shall live well as a family of 3. You must not think of leaving the palace again. When had I ever spoken of leaving? For the merit of bearing the prince. The Emperor elevated my rank to imperial noble consort and granted a general pardon. The gates of Longxin Hall were opened, yet consortly remained confined within her quarters. Unbeknownst to me, she now carried my brother's child. Back then, my brother had claimed her pills for winning favor had damaged her body, rendering her unable to conceive a lie he had spun for her. Truthfully, he simply couldn't bear the thought of his beloved sharing a bed with another man. Thus, he devised the scheme with her to deceive me into entering the palace, conceiving, and bearing a child. On the day of the young prince's full moon celebration, the Emperor hosted a banquet in the palace, requiring all consorts to attend. After the banquet, Consort Li sought me out alone. Her abdomen was tightly bound, yet the swelling was unmistakable. My dong, save me. Give me an abortion potion. This child cannot remain. She knelt on the ground, her expression sorrowful. My brother rushed over and helped her up. My dong, why must you always torment Consort Li? I was speechless. How could he say I was tormenting her? It was you who left her with a swollen belly, too ashamed to show her face. Besides, I never sent you any love potions or aphrodisiac wines. Brother, Consort Li came to me for an abortion potion. I did not seek her out. You want to abort our child. He looked at Consort Li, asking slowly. Li Ping flung his hand away. This is the palace. Have you lost your mind? Or are you trying to get me killed? I interjected just in time. Sister, weren't you infertile before? How did you conceive this time? Hearing this, Li Ping turned to brother. Her eyes filled with questioning. Ever since brother entered the palace, he was the only one who took her pulse and treated her illnesses. She trusted him, unaware of his selfish motives. Ah, how could I forget? Minister.He, you once swore to me that my body was ruined, incapable of bearing children. That's precisely why I agreed to help you deceive my dong into entering the palace. So all this was just to elevate your sister. She pointed at me, her eyes bulging with fury. How dare she? How dare this plain-looking girl win the emperor's favor and become imperial consort? And me, I was born with such beauty, destined to be showered with honor and favor. Yet I ruined my own future by believing your lies. Minister.He, how could you be so heartless? It seemed Consort Li still hadn't grasped her brother's true intentions. Convinced he had sacrificed her favor to bring me into the palace, she beat and cursed him. My brother said nothing, enduring her abuse in silence. Later, Consort Li went mad, snatching a hairpin from her hair and pressing it against her throat. Qi Rindong, give me an abortion potion. If this scandal breaks, I'll accuse you of seducing me. Then neither you nor your imperial consort sister will escape punishment. My brother's headdress lay scattered, his face marked with fingerprints and slap marks. Lin Yang, after all these years, do you truly not know my heart? When you entered the palace for the imperial selection without telling me, you said it was for the family to secure a future for your younger brother. After you entered the palace, I couldn't bear to leave you behind. I followed you in and became a court physician. Lin Yang, I am a man. How do you think I felt watching you practice dancing day and night to please another man? How do you think I felt seeing you lose your appetite and sleep over another man? For you, I even tricked my dong into entering the palace. Who could have foreseen the emperor would favor her? He attempted to wrest the hairpin from Consort Li's grasp. Lin Yang, do not worry. I can report to the emperor that you are ill and unfit to leave. Then we shall quietly bear our child. My dong will help us escape the palace as a family of 3. Watching her brother advance step by step, Consort Li grew even more frenzied. Even now you won't let me go. You still want me to leave the palace with you. Qi Rending, you're just a lowly court physician. I am Consort Li. What fine silk robes and sumptuous food could you possibly offer me? What ornate palaces and painted beams? Do you rely on your sister? Now the imperial noble consort. You 2 siblings are quite the schemers. She plunged a hairpin into her brother's chest. Since you desire to be with me so badly, let us walk together to our ruin. After breaking free from her brother, she made her way straight to the Empress Dowager's palace. Her brother, clutching his chest, was stopped at the door. Later, both she and her brother were imprisoned. I too was summoned to the palace by the Empress Dowager. She questioned me. When you broke into the emperor's chambers, was it a plot you hatched with your brother? What kind of love potion did you give the emperor? I had no defense, only silence. The emperor received word and rushed to the Empress Dowager's palace, shielding me behind him. Mother, this is not Maidong's fault. I have already uncovered that it was all a conspiracy orchestrated by physician He and Consort Li. He led me back from the Empress Dowager's quarters. The matter involving your brother and Consort Li has come to Mother's attention. I cannot protect them. It turned out he had long known that my encounter with him had been orchestrated by my brother and Consort Li. Out of respect for physician He being your brother, I had no intention of holding this against him. After all, he did bring you to me, but he and Consort Li acted far too recklessly. 2 cups of poisoned wine were presented before my brother and Consort Li. My brother seized both cups and drank them down, begging only for Consort Li's life to be spared. After his death, the Empress Dowager bestowed a white silk sash upon him. The emperor issued a new decree. All concubines who had not received imperial favor and wished to leave the palace would be granted gold and released. Those unwilling to depart could remain to live out their days within the palace walls. Some sisters rejoiced at the chance to leave the palace, never wanting to be confined within its walls again. Others felt all men were alike. Rather than serve another man outside, they preferred the palace's carefree life of ample food and clothing. A year later, despite every precaution, I found myself pregnant once more. The emperor stroked my back, laughing heartily. I was so furious I kicked him. He embraced me and told me of a dream he had once had. In the dream, he shared a night of passion with a stranger, but upon waking, the woman had scratched her own face. In a fit of anger, he sent her away, leaving only a small garment behind. Later, she refused to see him, sending word that she would never forgive him for what had done. Yet she bore his child. She still refused to see him. Each time he visited, she hid in her room reading, refusing even a glance. He entrusted her brother and friends to care for her, intending to return after the child was born. But she died in childbirth. Consumed by grief, he extended his love to the child, naming the newborn heir apparent. For the rest of his long life, he could only clasp that tiny garment and watch the crown prince, stubborn as she had been, To remember her. My dong. Do you know this dream is the one I had after our first time together? The entire dream felt as real as living an entire lifetime. When I awoke and saw you, I only wanted to hold you tight. Even if you scratched my face, even if you resented me, I would never let you go. I cupped his face, seeing my own reflection in his eyes. No wonder he was so different in this life compared to the last. It was all my dear brother and consortly scheming behind the scenes. They deceived both of us, making each believe the other resented them. It was also our own stubbornness, neither willing to yield first. Only after losing what we cherished most did we regret not having softened our stance back then. Zong Bao. Rest assured. This time, I'll stay by your side forever. Then, when you sleep alone from now on, could you please stop clutching my undershirt as you drift off? The end.